Hey, so my message to the hearts of the girls and the young women that I love and that I recorded just a little video ago, this exists only because of the decades of experience I've had being the girl whose voice has never been quiet, like ever. And that has never been an easy road. It started with multiple detentions in middle school, to having a teacher threaten to call the cops on me in the middle of class in high school, all the way to an actual police escort out of a public city meeting just over a year ago. And nearly every single one of those was at the direction of a man or group of men who weren't strong enough to handle my voice. I want to use an example of something that is currently happening, not for personal sympathy, but to highlight how this looks in the wild, out in the public. So when you see it, you will know it, because I promise you see it, and probably very often. In the recent video series I posted of the political toxicity that has been taken over my little town here in Oronoco, Minnesota, I provided a very thorough background on what I perceive has gotten us to where we are. In it, I described how, as someone who has followed the actions of the city council very closely for several years, I've been able to connect the dots, and I realized that a select group of appointed or elected officials have been ensuring that very specific people were being placed in positions of influence in this town, including on the city council, the planning and zoning committee, and the EDA board, all of which are very consequential positions. I highlighted this fact, and I spoke up at the public forum of the council meeting in March of 2023. The following month in April, I again spoke, this time calling out the public retaliation that occurred towards me by a council member after the previous meeting. Now, I personally can handle that kind of retaliation, but what alarmed me the most about this behavior was the broader chilling effect it would likely have on other residents of the community. Speaking out is a difficult thing to do, and public retaliation by people who hold positions of power is an incredibly effective way to silence people. So I had to speak up about that. During my allotted 3 minutes at the public forum, 2 men on the council could not handle my words. They started shouting over me, and they ultimately had a police officer escort me out of the building. I broke 0 rules of decorum set forth by the council regarding the public forum. You can go back, watch it, read my transcript. They cried discrimination because I spoke factually about the makeup of the council and most positions of power in the city, especially the most newly appointed ones, as they were being held by older, retired white men. I could have added more descriptors, but these seemed like the most relevant. When you look to see who was passed over for those positions or who they attempted to keep from those positions, they happen to be younger, working white women. Again, facts. This craziness led me to filing a lawsuit, first ever in my life, obviously, due to the fact that they so blatantly violated my First Amendment rights. Their actions had now become not only alarming, but dangerous at this point. And this is what I want to focus on very closely. No matter if you agree with what I was saying or not, if you are a true patriot, someone who really honestly believes in what this country says it stands for, if you believe in the Constitution, this action by members of the city council should enrage you. A governing body ordering the police to illegally escort a citizen out of a public meeting in order to silence them because they couldn't handle what was being said. That is tyrannical. Since my lawsuit, which was settled in federal court, I've had my share of personal attacks. The most public of which has come over just the past several days, and it seems to be triggered by my recent video series. A man whose name is Greg on the posts, and whose wife is one of the owners of the new Two Sisters restaurant here in town, he has made some recent remarks targeting me, which I think are really important to break down. In his posts, Greg describes me as, quote, the biggest bully of them all, whom profited off the citizens of Oronoco with a lawsuit, and concluding that that is not my kind of neighbor, unquote. And here's the important part, girls, because attacks like this can hurt and they can sideline you, because that's exactly what they are intended to do. I'll be the first to share that when I was considering suing, my inner voice and my outer voice asked, is this okay for me to do to the community? I even asked that out loud to my lawyer. And then I slapped my own face and I said, woman, you did not do this to this community. You were speaking up for the community against something that you could see was not right. The men on the council who illegally violated your constitutional right to freedom of speech immediately in that moment placed this community at risk for this lawsuit, not you, which the lawsuit is paid for by the city's insurance, not on the backs of the citizens. Now, as a side, Greg, like his wife, they may be a little sour at me yet for giving the restaurant a 1-star review after I spent $100 on there for lunch one day. I rated them this way because they had made the choice to post huge political signs in front of their business supporting the mayoral candidate, the man who has left this community open not only to my lawsuit, but to many others as well. A man who openly shared bigoted comments, of which I know the sisters were aware because I spoke about those comments several times using his direct quotes as they sat in the front seat at those public forums. When asked early in the political season if they would also consider posting the signs for the other mayoral candidate, they indicated, we'll think about it. But they never did. This personally ruined the ambiance for me, and I reflected that in my honest review, which they've since removed. When I later visited the cafe portion of their restaurant one morning to give it a try, one of the sisters accosted me regarding my review, yelling at me about my 1-star review. She was raising her voice. The whole scene was embarrassing. So anyway, I'm just saying they might have some beef with me. But back to Greg's attack, because it is this type of thing that can quickly stop someone from doing the good work that needs to be done, okay? Greg's misplacement of blame is no different than if he were to cry, because that his siren went off and sounded an alarm, the tornado came and destroyed the town. I mean, how ridiculous we would all think he was. But this is exactly the same argument that he is making about me. Girls, I want to take one last moment to discuss Greg's characterization of me being the biggest bully of them all. Let me show you a couple of pictures here. If you ever find yourself standing in front of a room full of men, all of whom are in positions of power, and then find yourself being escorted out of that space by a uniformed policeman, and you are characterized as the biggest bully in the room, then congratulations, you've officially made it. And I'll take you as my neighbor any day. Okay, sisters, this work sucks, but carry on because there's much to be done. I love you.